Hey guys, we're going to talk to you about a project that we did in the last week looking at do birds recognize toxic plants, and do they know that the food that they eat off of them is going to taste nasty? So, if you're a plant, one of your major dilemmas is to defend yourselves from insects that want to eat you. And in order to do this, a lot of plants create these chemicals that they produce. So this is a milkweed plant, and in the top corners you can see two different chemicals that they produce that deter anything from eating them. However, even though this gets rid of the majority of insects, there are a few insects that might specialize on these chemicals, meaning they take these chemicals and ingest them and use them to defend themselves. So in the example of the milkweed beetle and the monarch butterfly that feed on the milkweed plant, they take in these toxins and then they create these bright colors for themselves to warn anything that they're not going to taste good and that you don't want to eat them. Some research has shown that birds see these bright colors of these insects and they use that to identify them and say that they don't want to eat it. They recognize this isn't going to taste good, and they'll avoid them altogether. And this has been shown with the blue jay, and you can see in the picture that it is vomiting because it ate the monarch. So what we wanted to know is that because these insects are always found on the same plants that are producing the chemicals, do birds recognize this? Do they know that these plants taste nasty and they don't want anything off of it? Are they going to avoid them? So to test this question out, we use this plant, a cycad, that we found here in Las Cruces Biological Station in Costa Rica. And the cycad is a prehistoric plant, and it creates all these really nasty chemicals. The main one is called cycacin. And these plants are super old. They've been around since dinosaurs were around, and this chemical is probably produced a long time ago to prevent some sort of stegosaurus from chewing on it. The hair-streaked butterfly, this bright red guy that you can see in the corner, is one of the specialists that lives on this plant, and it uses the toxins to protect itself, to prevent anything from eating it. So what we wanted to know is anything eating this? So to do this, we made these cute little clay caterpillars, you can see in the bottom right, that when a bird bites it, it creates a beak mark, and you can count how many things have tried to eat it. But we also wanted to know, are birds going to avoid this because they see the red color and they know it's not going to taste good? So we made green models as well, and we put them next to the red ones on the plant to see if there was a difference and how many of them they would eat. And then, because this cycad is super toxic, we wanted to use another plant that isn't toxic to see do the birds know that this plant is toxic. So we found this palm species that looks almost exactly the same, and with the same clay models on both of them. In the final step of our project, we went out and we counted all the birds that we found in the area. What we wanted to know is, are there birds here that would potentially eat our models? And what kind of birds live here? What are the diets of the birds that live here? What we found is that insectivorous birds that are eating insects, are the most dominant feeding guild that we found in the forest. And looking at this graph, that's the big yellow section. We found a lot of frugivorous birds as well as hummingbirds, but these aren't things that are going to eat our models. And then counting the marks on our models, we found that the birds attacked the models that were on the palm trees a lot more than they saw in the cycad. So if you look at this graph, palm is in the purple color, and it's much bigger than the cycads. If you split this into different colors and look at which color that the birds wanted to eat more, we found that way more of the green ones were getting attacked than the red ones. So this goes back to what we said before, that the red color acts as a deterrent to the birds, and they know that this isn't going to taste good. However, still overall, on the palms, the models were attacked a lot more, which shows that birds are avoiding toxic plants. They don't want to eat them. They know that everything on it is going to taste nasty, and when they're out there looking for food, this is not where they're going.